Welcome to Wellywood Wargaming, where the grim dark never sleeps. Crack open a bottle of Wild Snake and spark up a low stick as we take a journey down Underhive.
Howdy Hive scum, and welcome back to some Necromunda. It's been a little bit of a while since Games Workshop gave us anything solid to chew on here. We've had the Saturnine Horus Heresy stuff gearing up, which I'm very excited about. We've got the sort of Cathay and Old World and a bunch of other stuff that Games Workshop have been sort of pushing through the pipeline. Necromunda has kind of fallen to the wayside for a little bit, I would say, and it's been a little bit of a while since we had any substantial news. Now, however, on the 7th of July 2025, we have had confirmation of all of the sort of leaks and bits of Chinese whispers that we've heard on Palanites getting their own book. They are officially getting their own House of style Necromunda book, similar to the Squat Prospectors and the Ash Waste Nomads. Here we have it, guys, on the Warhammer community. You can go and check this out. 7th of July, we've got an article which explains that Palanite Enforcers unleash their unique brand of justice with new officers, weapons, and a book. Let's get into it. Ever since Enforcers came out in Necromunda, they've been an incredibly popular gang to play, and the lore and the aesthetic and the sort of appeal of Enforcers and crooked Enforcers, bad zone Enforcers, stuff like that is definitely something that is one of the most popular areas of Necromunda, I would say, and pretty much every player I know owns an Enforcer gang. However, I would say, from my perspective, Enforcers haven't been very good in terms of how they play, and they don't really sort of come up to the same level as certainly the house gangs and other sort of gangs that we have fully fleshed out, like the Squat Prospectors and Ash Waste Nomads most recently. So what we have here is the consolidation of all of the different bits of information that we have on Enforcers. Remember, Bad Zone Enforcers were in a White Dwarf article, which you obviously can't get hold of anymore. We've got the Automata that was released separately, the Taurox Venator as well. All of this stuff was across different books, not just the Book of Judgment. So Enforcers have been like spread across multiple different publications, and it's quite hard to consolidate that all into one until now. Now we have our own book, and the book is called, what is it called actually, by the way? Let's have a look. It is called the Bastions of Law, and there's a little bit of information in this article on what is going to be included in this book and how everything has been consolidated and fleshed out for Palanites to be able to run with the best gangs in the game. Before we talk about what might be in the book and some of the speculations and actual little tidbits of information we have here, let's look at the new miniatures. So first and foremost, we have a new box of 8 miniatures for Palanite Enforcers. We have 2 captains by the looks of it. We have the captain models first on the page here for this article. First impressions of these guys, I have to say, they look a little bit derpy for me, but again, and I've said this every time, I do usually have issue with Warhammer Studios painting style. They're good paint jobs, don't get me wrong, but they just don't look grimdark enough for me, and it just doesn't quite do the aesthetic justice for me. So I think these guys might just be painted slightly derpy as well, but I will say the trench coats are looking not quite as nice as perhaps the Jaeger or whatever they're called from Kill Team, the squats that you get with the nice looking trench coats with the sort of furry collars. They look a lot nicer to me. These guys though, interesting, very static poses, and it looks like you get the option to build 2 Palanite captains in here as well, which is interesting because we have, well, I'm going to talk about it in a bit actually, just how Enforcers look now we have multiple boxes to build them and stuff. But the captains here, the first one on the left here with a sort of plume on the head there and a power sword and a plasma pistol. So interesting weapons for an Enforcer, I would say. I don't personally think either of those weapons really suit Palanites personally. They're good weapons, don't get me wrong, but cops carrying power swords and plasma pistols, I'm not so sure about that one. I probably wouldn't go with that loadout because it just doesn't seem to fit the sort of general vibe of Enforcers. I want lots of mauls and magnicals and things like that as well. The second captain here, we have what looks to be some sort of Vox caster over the shoulder, which will be interesting to see if this has rules, whether he can sort of preach like Judge Dredd, sort of just speak through a megaphone and scare all the people into submission. I'm not really sure, but it looks like he's got an Enforcer bolt gun or bolt pistol in the hand there as well. But yeah, interesting. The captains are looking okay, I suppose, but again, previously in the actual Enforcer and Subjugator box, you had the option to build something that resembled a captain, and I think that's what most people did. is they picked one of the models from the Palanite boxes to represent their captain. However, now you have the captain in a box with trench coat that looks a bit different to the rest of the Palanite. So that's nice that we've got that distinguishing detail to mark them out as captains. The next items in the box are 4 figures, and it sort of suggests that these guys are the sergeants, Palanite sergeants. Now, previously, Palanite sergeants were the weakest link in a enforcer gang, really. The stats for the champions, or sergeants as they're known as, just don't measure up compared to... In fact, Palanites in general just have fairly bad stats, so hopefully we've rectified that in this book, but we've got no details on any of the rules or anything here. The models, though, the other 6 sort of humans that we get in here, we get what looks to be sergeants in 2 different armor types. So it's worth noting that the top left and bottom right here are general sort of flak armor, I suppose, with the undersuits, and then the other 2, the top right and the bottom left, are what looks to be subjugator type armor as well. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but we've got more armored plates on here, so hardened layered flak as opposed to just layered flak or whatever. Some interesting weapon choices here. I will say the sort of Palanite versions of the sergeants look a lot skinnier than your regular Palanites. I could be wrong there, but they do have sort of skinnier, slightly longer legs, which again is cool to have different body shapes and stuff in here. I can't tell if some of these heads may be female as well, which is also cool. Always nice to have representation of female and male models in Necromunda as well. And the top right and bottom left are awesome looking models by the looks of it. In terms of weapons, by the way, I think the top left we've got the auto pistol and power maul or shock stave. I'm not sure which one that would be. I think it looks more like a power maul, if I'm honest, but it looks very different to the previous shock staves and power mauls that we had in the Palanite box sets as well. So it is a slightly different aesthetic there. The top right, I have no idea what this weapon is. It has a magazine on it, a big sort of like drum magazine, and it could be either an auto gun with a sight on the end of it, or some sort of I'm not really sure what it is, but we've got a grenade in the left hand there, and what looks to be, I think, a drum-loaded auto gun of some kind. But again, I'd like to know in the comments what you think this weapon is. I really like the skull masks, though. That's really, really cool. And again, very different to what we've seen previously with Enforcers as well. Bottom left is a really interesting looking heavy weapon or special weapon. I think this might be the concussion ram. Or one of there's a couple of different heavy weapons that you get with Enforcers. One of them was the sledgehammer sort of breaching weapon that we had in the Enforcer box, but this one looks to be the other one. I can't remember what they're actually called, but really, really cool looking weapon. It could be something new as well, though, so I'm not really sure about this. And the bottom right, we have the what looks to be an Enforcer bolt gun as well, with some sort of flashlight or torch on it as well. So really, really cool. I like the posing. I like the helmets. The sort of skull helmets look really, really good. I tend to swap my heads out on my Palanite Enforcers for sort of Imperial Guard helmets and stuff like that as well, just so they look a little bit more my kind of taste. But also, we have the addition of 2 more miniatures in this box. So 8 miniatures, we get 2 captains, and what looks to be the option of building 4 sergeants. Of course, you can't take 4 sergeants unless they've changed the rules on this, but of course you could use 2 of them as regular Palanites as well. Then we finally get 2 plastic hardcase cyber mastiffs. These guys are some of the best pets in the game. They are really good. They've got toughness 4. There's a special character one that has digi weapons and stuff on it as well. Honestly, I'm not sure I actually like the models. I think the faces look quite comedic. I would probably do a little bit of kit bashing on these to make them look a bit more scary. I must say, the one on the left with the closed sort of head looks slightly better for me. The one on the right there is just really sort of cartoony to me, especially with the sort of robot ears on it and stuff as well. But it's not my taste. It might be yours though. But like I said, having plastic versions of hardcase cyber mastiffs is definitely something that everybody who plays Palanite Enforcers is going to use, because they are really, really a good pet, unless they've changed the rules on them or something. We then get the weapon upgrade sprue, which is an interesting one, okay? So we get 2 sprues in these weapon upgrades. We've got a sniper rifle at the top here, which is always good to have, because I think you only get 1 on each of the sprues in the Palanite box sets as well. So the only option for 2 sniper rifles, and the sniper rifle is really good. It's a long rifle with rending. Typically, we also have what looks to be a flamer next to it, which again doesn't really suit enforcers for me. I would expect them to have slightly more, non-lethal options, I suppose, but the flamer is pretty nasty. What looks to be either the shock stave or power maul next to that as well. 2 of those. We've got auto pistols, which is nice to have, especially with those man-stopper rounds that we know and love. An auto gun, the enforcer auto gun, which looks really cool here as well. We haven't seen this weapon yet. We've seen the auto pistols, but not the auto gun. And I like the sort of the model of the auto gun for enforcers here. It looks really cool with the drum magazine on it as well. Next to that, I think in the article it does say that we have web guns, and of course Bad Zone enforcers do get access to web guns right now, but it looks like web guns might be included in the new book as well. Web guns are a problem. They are a bit too good. I would like them to be nerfed at some point and maybe the strength brought down to strength 3 or something, just to make them actually fair, because at the moment they are utterly broken. So, you're going to take them on enforcers because enforcers need the help. But this does look like either a web gun, or it also has the sort of base sort of like stock of the concussion carbine as well. So maybe a slightly different version of a concussion carbine. But then again, below that, we have actually got a concussion carbine, and that's definitely one concussion carbine in there. So I think it's a web gun. It's got some sort of spray nozzle on the end of it. So it's cool to see a similar pattern looking weapon to the concussion carbine as well. So just a slightly different sort of barrel on it as well. But that's the first time we've seen an enforcer dedicated web gun. So it's quite cool to see. Same with the auto gun there as well. We've got 2 shields in there too. And these are a slightly different type of shield to the ones we get in the Subjugator box set. They are a different shape. They aren't quite as symmetrical. They've got at a top that's sort of like lopsided, I suppose, which is interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they're modelled on the models themselves and how they look when they're on. And then we also have what looks to be a power knife or a knife. And again, I will say, I just don't really see enforcers using knives like this. I'd like to see the use of slightly more non-lethal weapons generally with these guys. But, knives, it's an interesting one. And they are a lovely looking knife, but I won't be modelling them on my enforcers because it just doesn't fit for me. And then we've got a few heads in here as well. Most of them are bald. In fact, they're all bald, and we've got one masked head in there as well. Most of them are shouting and angry looking as well. I won't be using those myself either. So that's the weapon upgrade pack. It's decent. It's nice that you get the sniper rifle and the web gun in there and another concussion carbine, because I do absolutely love concussion carbines. They are awesome weapons. We've also got an open magnicle as well, which will be cool to model into someone's hand as well, so that they're slapping it on one of their prisoners or victims or whatever. Rules for everything above will be available in Necromunda Bastion of Law, a fully fleshed out House of style book for the Palanite enforcers. There is a gang list featuring the captain and sergeants above, 2 new scenarios, gang tactics, a Bad Zone enforcer gang list for those who want to attempt to tame the desolate wilds of Necromunda, new weapon profiles, and plenty of other new ways to run Palanite enforcer precinct. So one of those new weapons mentioned could be what that sergeant is holding at the top right there. It does not look like the auto gun now that I've looked at the upgrade sprue. It is longer. It's got a much longer barrel on it, so it'd be interesting to see what weapon that is. Likewise with the bottom left sergeant as well in the subjugator armor there too. Is that the heavy weapon alternate that we've used before, or is that something new as well? I'm not really sure there. So from the article and all the information we have here, Bad Zone enforcers are now officially in this book, so you can still run Bad Zone enforcers, whether they'll have the same rules and equipment or whatever. They might be slightly different in this, but it's great to see that Games Workshop are keeping on to Bad Zone enforcers, because I absolutely love the idea and the narrative of Bad Zone enforcers. But it's really interesting to see how they've fleshed all this out. Of course, enforcers now have more boxes and models, I believe, than anything else, particularly in plastic. We have this new box, which has captains, sergeants, hardcase, mastiffs in it as well. We have the upgrade sprue, we have the plastic brute, we have the plastic vehicle, and we have 2 gang boxes. We have the Palanite box, which has 10 models in it, I believe, and the Subjugator box, which has got 6 models in it too. So you've got a lot to choose from here, and I think this is the largest range of models for Necromunda so far. apart from maybe Van Saar, who get the extra sort of tech hunters there as well. But 3 boxes of basic troops here, which is very, very cool. And I'm going to say it now, I heard a little rumor that there's also a Palanite prospect coming out as well. Could it be the psychic sort of like, what are they called? That there's basically a sanction weird that they have in the lore. I think they're going to release that as well. Whether it's Forge World, whether it's plastic, I'm not really sure. I'm sure if it was plastic, we probably would have already seen it, maybe. But I think there's going to be a prospect as well. I'd like to know what you think about that, though. I think there is going to be a prospect. I think it's been mentioned somewhere, but I can't find it now. But I know in the lore they use spooks or something like that, which are sort of telepaths that they use. A bit like Judge Dredd. If you've seen the film Dredd, the chick, what's her name? Anderson, I think it is. She's like a telepath as well. So, of course, Necromunda draws a lot of inspiration from 2000 AD and Dredd as well. These guys particularly. So I think a telepathic sanctioned psyker for Palanites would be a really nice thing to round things out as well. So let's wait and see if that comes out too. And yeah, your typical style of gang book here. So we've got everything in it. We've got the new gang tactics. So there'll be a card pack that comes out. There'll probably be nice dice as well that comes with this, and new scenarios and whatnot too. It's going to be really interesting to see if they've actually changed any of the stats and mechanics, and whether they get a unique mechanic like we have for squats and nomads and stuff. I think it would be great if enforcers were tidied up for campaign play, because at the moment a lot of people have to, if you're playing them in Dominion campaign, there are some issues that you can have with Palanite enforcers. Some say they're a bit too good in certain campaigns. Some say they're just not up to scratch. I haven't really played Palanite enforcers for quite a while, so it's going to be interesting when this box comes out and I get all the new stuff and start playing them in a campaign soon as well. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it's great, and I think Palanite enforcers definitely deserved some treatment in the shape of their own dedicated book. So yeah, I'm really excited to get hold of this book and get through the rules, and I'll be doing a new Palanite Enforcer gang guide as soon as that drops, and I'll also be doing reviews and painting guides and all the usual stuff that I do as soon as there's a new faction release for Necromunda. So stay tuned for all that stuff. It won't be too long, I'm sure. Once I get my hand on this stuff, I will be dishing it out to you all in absolutely bucket loads. So there you go. It's also worth thinking at this point, what's next for Necromunda? Because I do think now with enforcers getting this treatment, will we be getting the same on the flip side for perhaps corpse grinders or cultists, things like that? So this book, Bastions of Law, is basically replacing the Book of Judgment. So those of you that have just gone out and bought the Book of Judgment, commiserations, but it is what happens with Games Workshop stuff, and it has been out for a few years. So be aware that things change, things evolve, and I know it sucks when you just buy a book and then you realize that all of the rules in the book aren't really going to be usable anymore, but it's still a nice book to have. It's still got some cool stuff in it. It's got the Law and Misrule campaign in there as well, so it's worth having. But in terms of running enforcers, everything you need is going to be in this book, Bastions of Law. So yeah, and when enforcers came out, they came out in a box set with corpse grinders, so they were both released at the same time. Corpse grinders unanimously were a bit broken. Everybody have a problem with them. They also aren't really a complete gang either. Like enforcers, they didn't feel fleshed out enough. So hopefully we get a new Book of Ruin version for corpse grinders, and hopefully Gene Stealer cults, and consolidate all that Malstrain stuff into there, as well as Chaos Helots, because I really do think that Chaos Helots deserve a place in the higher sort of tiers of Necromunda as a fully fleshed out gang, because as it stands, they're just not that appealing to play. Anyway, I've waffled an awful lot on this one, and that's just my passion for Necromunda coming through. It's been a while since I've been able to talk about a new release, so this is very, very exciting for me. I'd love to know in the comments down below what you think about all this, what your projections are for the future of Necromunda, the next books, and so on and so forth, and any sort of ideas you might have for what's in this book in terms of how Palanite enforcers might change in their rules, mechanics, and lore and stuff like that as well. And whether or not you like the miniatures too, because they're not everybody's taste, I'll be honest. And yeah, I will see you in the next video really soon once we find out a little bit more about what's in this book. That's all for now. Wellywood out.